Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Cynthia and today's video is a journal with me video. Now I am recording it as I'm actually crafting, so that's something that haven't done before. So I hope it goes well and that I'm not too confused in what I want to say, but I did want to give you just perhaps a better idea of what it looks like when I'm creating live, like what it looks like when I'm actually just on my own time and making pages, how long it takes me, and a little bit more of my true process. So as always, I have selected some elements that I want to work with. I usually do this whether I'm recording or not. It's just something that helps me kind of focus and feel more at ease in my creation. So I've selected some elements. I have a piece of a vintage wallpaper, little illustration. I selected this one. I thought it was funny. So obviously it's like the three little pig story. But it made me think of COVID and how we're being cooped up again. And, you know, like there's like the big black wolf looking out for us, which is like kind of the virus. Anyway, so that's my my thought behind that. I thought it was a playful outlook on it. And then I have some embossed papers and just a little piece of fabric that came into my Patreon mail from Desta Roses. So those are the things that I want to start with. I might add to it. I may not use all of them, but it's just like a starting point. If I don't have a starting point, I find it just, I don't know what to do. So I either need to have something I want to journal about for sure, or I need to be inspired by the ephemera that I select for myself. So my next step is going to be to select a page to work in. And what helps me do this is pretty much just kind of flipping through. And sometimes there's pages that I really want to use, and then I'll select the ephemera accordingly to kind of match those pages. Other times, like I can think like I have this big illustration, so I need to make sure that that illustration will fit onto the pages. I don't want to do something too elaborate. I don't have a ton of time to journal today. Right after this, I have to go and do a driving lesson, so I do want to keep it fairly simple. So I'm just gonna keep this in my hands essentially and kind of go through different pages and see how I could incorporate it in these pages, and then I'll go from there. So I kind of like these pages. I think I can make it work. This journal, as you can see, like I barely have any pages already left to journal in there, but that's perfect. That's kind of what I wanted, because I'm expecting a journal in the mail relatively soon. So I wanted to make sure that I would have time to kind of complete this one. And yeah, it was the intention. So it is a little bit like not equal, like not leveled, but it does lay flat, so it's not a big deal. I might just grab something to keep these together if I have something nearby, and I do. So I have just like a paper clip, so I might just kind of clip the top, just to help it, help the fluffy side be a little bit more flat. And so, of course, now I do have this page here that doesn't have, like, it's a printable that I've only printed on one side. So I want to make sure that I can print on, I can put something here. And I was thinking I would put a piece of the wallpaper, and then the image can kind of either overlay or under, probably overlay, because otherwise it looks like he's wearing a little hat. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it like this. And then at the bottom, I could just have one of these, which I feel like that's very peachy. Like there's a ton of peach happening, so maybe the green is a little bit more adequate. So I might hold on to this one, put the peachy one aside, and I'm gonna start by just trimming the wallpaper and just trying to figure out how I'm gonna do that. But I think the easiest way is to do it reverse. Often I'll do that just because otherwise it's too hard to kind of figure out how to do it. And I'm just using a ruler to do that. It does not have to be perfect, and I prefer edges when they're not straight anyway. And so here I have the piece of wallpaper. Now, to adhere this wallpaper, I would definitely, actually not probably, but I wouldn't just use glue stick. I could use double-sided tape, but I think I'm just going to use some fabric tack and kind of call it a day with that. It might just make it a little bit easier. If this was like a really brittle and old wallpaper, I may not want to use fabric tack, just because I'd be worried a little bit about like the acidity and everything. But this one does not seem like it's, like it feels more like a wallpaper from the 70s perhaps, because it has that type of vinyl feel to it. So I just applied like a generous amount, but not too much either. Doesn't have to be an overkill. And just placing that onto the page. I'm pressing down to make sure that it's adhered properly. I mean, like, it's not straight at the top here. This is my personal journal, right? And when things like that happen, like, I'm not a perfectionist in that way, so it really does not faze me at all. So I have it like this, and then next stop is going to be to use my little image here. Now I do want to keep the full image, so I'm just going to be folding it at where it'll need to be folded. And to do that, I think I'm just gonna, okay. So this page here, as you can see, like it kind of like popped, and that's okay. That just means that I'm gonna insert it here, and then I might actually just like rip it and glue the other part. Or just trying to see if I need to do that. Yeah, I think it'll just be easier if I separate it and then continue it onto the other side. It might just make it easier as well to fold back onto itself. And then for this one, just because of the nature, like it's a thicker piece of paper, but I am going to use some double-sided tape, just because I know that the tape is going to adhere nicely to the paper, whereas this having a little bit more of a slippery type of finish, I didn't know what to expect, so I didn't want to risk it. So I'm just going to rip some pieces here and then put a piece on each of the sides. All right, and I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of try and slide it in as much as possible, and then just adhere it like that. And then for this side here, I'm just gonna go ahead, I'm gonna leave just a little bit of space to allow that fold to happen nicely. So I'm just gonna, again, just use some double-sided tape to do that. And just like that, and I'm just gonna put this, I have this little garbage bin. I have asked my husband to get me a garbage for my crafts room, and he went to the store. This is what he got me. Yeah, so if that doesn't give you a like if it doesn't shed a light on the kind of man my husband is, I don't know what will. Oh, he's sweet. Okay, so for this part here, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and rip kind of a piece about this thick. And again, I love ripping, like ripped edges, so I'm not afraid to just go ahead and do that. And just like that. And then I don't need it to be that long. So now I have just like a little scrap, but that's fine. And I'm just gonna use just some regular wet glue. I realize I'm using like all sorts of glue in this video, but it's just depending on the material, I have preferences, and sometimes I don't have a preference as well, and it just depends on what's closest to me. Yeah, play around with the glues that you have and like the glues that the different stores around you offer. Like I get this little glue just at the Dollar Tree, and it's very affordable and it does a good job for what I want it to do. So I really enjoy using it. But I've also used white glue for like school glue, even for different things. It doesn't have to be the most expensive type of glue sometimes. For glue sticks, yes, they're not all made equal. That is very true. Okay, so I'm quite happy with this little page here, and I think I'm just gonna write some sort of statement here, or like lyrics or quote or something. And then what I think, to keep it super simple, I'm thinking I'm gonna journal around here where I have room left. And probably I'm just gonna, yeah, I think I'm just gonna use this as like kind of a bit of a flap that you can unveil what I'll be writing. Now, obviously you can't really write well on this sort of page, so I'm just gonna grab my some ephemera that I have. I have these books that my mother-in-law brought, and some of them had like the cover and they were really old, so although I don't really care to use that side of it, but like the inside is so pretty, so I'm thinking maybe I'll just use kind of like this part here. That would be pretty. I don't think I'll, not this part, but like look how beautifully aged that is. You know, everything can be used somehow. And perhaps I'll put it like this, or I I do really like seeing that edge. So I think what I'm going to do is just kind of rip down the side that I had cut previously for whatever I used this for. I think I used it to back some journaling cards. Just like that. And I am just going to use my glue stick for this one. And when I use my glue stick, as you can see, like I often cut it out because, well, nobody needs to see me apply glue that often, but at least I don't think. But I am quite generous with it, and I do go over quite a few times, especially if it's a porous type of paper. Sometimes you'll have to apply more times, and depending on, I live in a very dry area in the world, and depending on where you live or how often you use your glue stick, like it will dry up. So keep that in mind as well with how much glue you're going to want to apply. And I'm just going to press that down. I don't mind that it's covering his little tail there and bum. That's really okay. And then to attach this, I'm just going to use some staples, because what else is that simple, right? And I'm just making sure here. So I did journal on this side, so I want to make sure that where I am going to be stapling is not going to be injuring this page, right? Like I don't mind that staples are going to show through. That's really okay with me. But if I had something written here or something like important to the page, I wouldn't want to be stapling through it probably. So I just want to keep that in mind. And I'm just trying to see which way I want to staple it down. I think this way. Yeah. And just grab a mini stapler, make sure that I only have one page in my hand. I am so bad at that. I often end up stapling many pages together. It's just a bad habit. Like that. That's probably good. Yeah, that it just lifts up like that. And I made sure that it was kind of poking out a little bit, both on the sides and at the top, because when I'm closing my journal, then you see it poke through, and I really like that. That's something that I love to do as I'm creating my journals, but also while I'm creating. So that's pretty much it for my process for these pages. I'm gonna go ahead and journal off camera, and then I'll insert some close-up clips, but I hope that this was helpful to show you how it can be really simple and doesn't have to take very long. I mean, I think I took maybe like 15 minutes to do this. I guess we'll see how long the video is, but it's really quite simple and but effective, right? And I'll be able to jot down kind of my thoughts and feelings right now about having to stay in and being afraid of these new variants. So, you know, but then again, like almost making fun of it, right? And trying to stay positive about it. That has been my main goal recently, is just these are things that are out of our control, and I'm just really trying to kind of rise above. So there you have it. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I'll go ahead and insert the close-ups. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I encourage you to. It does really help me out. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Otherwise, I will talk to you all in my next one. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye now.